just the smallest thing. You have to do one thing, even if it's just one thing all day. Finish one task, and you get that completion, right? You get the relief of completing something.
Tulsa Talks is the podcast that is inspiring people to have everyday meaningful conversations to gain perspective and help the world.
Welcome to Tulsa Talks. Today we have Cody Alexander. His focus today is lifelong learning and personal development. Welcome, Cody.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here, man.
So Cody has a couple of businesses and like this whole thing that he's doing with Men Group, and he's an amazing person. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say today. Let's start off in your upbringing. Okay. How your family life was, and I don't want to get you to overshare, but I do want to get some insight.
Sure. So I was raised, so my parents were divorced at 4 years old. At the time, I had one younger brother, and father remarried my stepmom a few years later, and it wasn't the cleanest divorce. We'll just say they weren't best friends after they separated. And, there was a lot of where I was asked often, like, because it was a split custody. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Split custody. And they were battling in court for a while for, like, custody over me and my brother. And
well, at least your dad cared for you and wanted to have you around.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it was both ways, and it came to
a lot of times, typically the dad every other weekend, a few weeks in the summer. Yeah, very limited, and a lot of dads are good with that.
Yeah, and he was great. I mean, there's nothing I can say that he could have done. I think everything he did what he could. Right. He ended up with 5 kids.
Wow.
He bought a house that he really probably couldn't afford at the time, worked 3 jobs for a long time. We saw him occasionally, but most of the time he was working, or if he was home, he was sleeping for the 3 hours that he got every day. And, I love my dad to death, and he's great, and he's taught me a lot, especially in the space of like being mentally tough and stuff like that. And, I hate that the separation happened the way it did, just because it was, messy, and there was a lot of fighting between like who.
So a divorce hurt your experience.
Yeah.
And the way that they were interacting hurt your experience, and then you became a teenager, and what happened at that time?
So I became a teenager, still in school. I did notice I noticed it now more than I did then. I noticed, obviously with 5 kids, they're very busy, and he's working multiple jobs, so they can't be everywhere all the time, right? Everyone was in sports, multiple sports growing up, so attention wasn't always on the older children most of the time. We've spent our time through elementary football.
Sure,
all that.
Yeah.
It's important to see
time
that.
for you to grow up.
Absolutely, yeah. It's time for you to grow up. You can handle yourself. Go do your wrestling tournaments and all that. We don't have to be there. And I look back now, and I hate that they weren't there more, I guess. I really would have liked them to be there more. And it's not like he had to choose between kids that were very young, first, second, third grade at the time. And I was in, junior high, going into high school, whatever it was. And those kids need more attention at that age.
Sure.
And they have to be there, drop them off and stuff like that anyways. So, and it's nothing, I don't feel like he made the wrong decision by any means.
So you've had some challenges in your life, and a little bit of touch of separation anxiety, or not getting as much participation as you would have liked. And you grow up and you married, how long ago did you say?
Be 16 years in September.
Over half your life.
Yeah, just turned 31 in April, and we've been together since freshman year of high school. Been long time.
Awesome.
Watched each other grow, grown together, learned together, struggled together. But that's, I think that's honestly how our relationship is so strong at this point.
And you went into a business for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I started my construction company, Fixed Construction, just in 2022, beginning of 2022. And I was a sales guy before that at another company, and that's where I really learned how to grow and actually run a company, I guess. I've tried before with a personal training company. I just didn't have the knowledge of how to scale it, how to market it, things like that. And so it did okay. I mean, I was making a little extra money on the side, but it wasn't going to become a full-time job ever. And so kind of gave up on that dream and worked blue-collar stuff for several years. And then that sales job came along and took it, and then eventually worked my way into coordinating projects. We did a lot of remodeling at the time too, so I kind of took over the remodeling side of the company, which ended up, I mean, that's what I do now is remodeling, and still wearing all the hats mostly. And obviously that gets tiring and a little challenging, but
So through all of these experiences, broken home, sports, wife, blue collar work, into sales position, now into owning your own business, you've learned a little.
I've learned a little. I've lived a little. Got a lot more to live and learn.
Yeah.
I think.
But education and personal growth, and we've given a backstory of how you got to where you are.
Yeah.
And you're currently launching something intentionally to help people learn and grow.
Absolutely. I haven't really came out on public like this to say this yet, so this will be the first time. But it's something I'm passionate about, so I think people need to know that it's coming. So I started a men's group last year. That was an accountability group.
Define an accountability group. How did y'all's work?
So we would have quarterly meetings. Those would look like setting goals with each other, checking in with each other, make sure we're staying on track.
How often would you check in with each other for accountability?
So it didn't do great, I'll be honest with you. We started to do a challenge at the first of the year where we kind of set some the way we had it set up, there was a couple different tiers within the group. So everyone started at the base tier, and we would do 1 month of, it was like a watered down version of 75 hard. You had a diet, you had to walk so many steps a day, kind of getting the baseline of habits and making sure, if you're going to be in an accountability group, you need to be able to have these habits just to get in, right? This is kind of the standard you need to be doing anyways. And we started it. I had less than half the group start it with me. And by the time we were halfway through, most of them had stopped. And I had elbow surgery right in the middle of it too. So I also didn't finish. I don't think anybody in the group finished. So it kind of died out quickly. I wasn't expecting that, and wasn't really, kind of just fizzled out for a long time. And I stayed home for about 4 months. I was watching kids and trying to run a business, and that was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. And once my wife went back to work full time, and that was the reason. And so I came back out after 4 months and started doing some networking and stuff like that. And as I came back out, it was mentioned, this group was mentioned a lot again, all of a sudden. And it wasn't towards the men's accountability group where we're, just trying to grow each other and make sure we're doing what we need to do. It was a lot of women coming to me saying, hey, if this grows to where, my teenage boy can be involved, I really want him to be a part of this, just because of the guys that were involved in the group. Like, okay, well, that's not something I really thought about, but it makes a lot of sense behind the purpose of the group, right? If we're trying to build these men to be the best that they can be, why not start the generation before that? Because by the time they're our age, then what are they accomplishing? And so the women that were coming to me, most of them didn't have a father figure, so they weren't learning the skills they need to learn to become a man a few years down the road. Some of them were grandparents, stuff like that. So,
what's the reaction to the men that were in the group and that dissolved?
So I reached out to a lot of them just a few weeks ago. I got some motivation and built out the whole backside of this, the SOPs. I mean, even everything down to what the welcome letter would look like to the parents or guardians and the welcome letter to the kids. I mean, everything in between. Knowing I was going this direction, I did that. And so I sent those documents over to everyone that was in the group. Hey, I want your opinion on this. This is the direction I'm going. If there's changes, I want to know what they need to be. If you want to be a part of it, if you don't, cool, no problem. I know you're busy. You've got businesses, that's fine. I just want to know, like, if you're going to join this, it's all in or nothing. I can't, if we're going to mentor these kids, you can't be halfway in.
Right.
They need someone stable, obviously, in their life that can teach them. So I presented to every guy in the group. Every single one of them was like, I want to be on this immediately. Like, I want a part of this.
Yeah.
Don't know what it looks like yet, but I want in. And so we've done some things a little bit to move it forward. The next step is we've got a meeting in June where everyone's going to get their CPR certification. In the same day, I have two guys coming down from St. Louis. They're going to teach us. One of them is an undercover FBI guy that he hunts down child predators. And so they're going to come down and teach us what to look for in men and people that are, trying to do things they shouldn't to children. Just so we get, if we grow this to the point where people outside want to be involved, we're not bringing in any weirdos or anything like that. We can recognize that early on and nip it in the bud, or, if we have to, turn it over to the people that need to know. So that's the next step for us. And then we'll start trying to figure out what events and trying to market it, I guess, and get some kids involved. And that'll obviously be over the next, 4 or 6 months or something like that. So, yeah, it's definitely something I'm more passionate about than I didn't realize I was. I just feel like it's something that's really needed in society and community right now, that, the next generation growing up, they weren't taught, like, I'm sure you're the same way. They're not taught like we were. They've got a lot more technology. They're a little more lazy. They don't have I don't think they're pushed as hard. The discipline isn't quite there, if that makes sense. And it's a big thing missing. And I think if you're going to make a difference in the community, there's no better way than trying to develop the next generation of men growing up. I think it's just something missing.
So what are you doing currently for your education and personal growth?
Well, I'm a book reader. I don't like it by any means.
You don't like what?
I dislike reading a lot. I'm a person that if I sit down very long and I get still, I will fall asleep. It's just my mind finds a minute to take a break and I'm going to fall asleep. It's how I've always been. So it's hard for me to read. I do a lot of podcasts. And then, if I think the main thing, if you're doing those, kind of like we talked about a little bit before this, those things don't really have any good in your life if you're not applying them, right?
Yeah.
So you are presented every day with opportunities to apply those skills, whether it's, we'll just use argument with a wife, or maybe your kids throwing a fit in the store, right? Those are all opportunities I was raised, and it's because my dad was the same way. I was a little bit of a hothead. I get angry easily, right? So that's a pain point for a spot that I can get a lot better. And I have gotten a lot better and a lot more patient. There's still a lot more room to improve. And, things like kids crying in the grocery store and people staring at you, that's, sometimes you get frustrated, and that's an opportunity for you to be, if you can notice it in the moment, that's the best way. Okay, what can I do, first of all, to calm myself down? And what can I do for this child that he needs or wants, or whatever. What can I do to minimize this a little bit? And it's tough, especially in public, to do, because everyone's watching you, and you want to make sure you're doing the right thing, but also that your kid is learning the right way, And if you can apply those skills that you're taking from all those things to real life experiences, that's how you start to change. I feel like that's what I've done.
Yeah, Cody, I told you about that story that I was in a men's group and we were reading a book, and fellow's comment was, this book's just a bunch of words that don't mean anything. And I was like, wow, this is a cool book. And I'm getting some insight into myself. It's probably been 15 years ago or 12 years ago that I was in this group. And next thing I know, that fellow was divorced 2 years later. And it was on how to treat your spouse.
Ugh. Yeah.
And just crazy to me, like you said, if you don't take these things and bring them into who you actually are walking out life, then they are just a bunch of empty words that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
Or they can be revolutionary in your life, and you can change. And sometimes change takes a little time.
Absolutely. And it's not always easy either. Most of the time it's very challenging, and it's always the hard things that make you better faster, I think.
Yeah.
You do the hard things. Same thing, like I go to the gym often. Putting the stress on your body, stress is there because your body doesn't like it, and it's because it's growing, Same thing with your brain. I mean, there's going to be things that are tough, but if you can keep at it, be consistent, that's the main thing. You have to be consistent. You can't just do it one time.
Yeah. Yeah. The balance at the same time is hard and consistent, but not overtraining.
Yeah, I think you could say overtraining too.
Because if I'm hard consistently, then I can overtrain myself.
Yeah.
And I can break my body.
Yeah, that's how injuries happen.
That's how injuries happen.
Yeah.
So if we're emotionally engaging ourselves and we're too hard on ourselves too long, then that's not good either.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, I went through this recently. I felt like my business was kind of coming to a stall. It was through the time period where I was staying at home. It was that
How else was it supposed to? I mean, if it's not slowing some, if you're staying at home all the time.
Right. Yeah. And
what else do you expect?
I got to the point I couldn't get anything done. Kids, they want snacks every 5 minutes. They need the TV changed. They need food. They need water. They need a diaper, whatever.
You're saying that a stay-at-home parent is kind of a challenging job?
Oh.
Full-time?
It's harder than what I do. Like when my wife was staying at home, I knew it was hard on her. I didn't realize how hard, right? And I don't think a lot of people do until they actually live it. And I mean, that's the same thing with a lot of things.
Yeah.
You live it, and then you start realizing how hard that really is. And,
right. Yeah. See if you're fit for that. See if that is where you fit or not. And that's part of what we're doing here at Tulsa Talks, is helping people have a voice to help other people find where they fit.
Yeah.
And my wife, she fit great as a housewife. She still fits good or great as a housewife, even though we don't have children. She's constantly busy doing something that needs to be taken care of, and supporting me and our 31-year-old daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. And
my wife was that's where she fit.
Yeah. My wife was the same way, and she was still is a great mother. Like I wouldn't change a single thing. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect person, I feel like.
Yeah.
But she wanted, and I agree, she wanted something more. And
be back in a career.
Yeah, the potential she has is far beyond what she knows. Mm-hmm. She's very smart. She's a good person, like biggest heart I've ever seen in anyone. And I mean, honestly, I feel like her job is great, and I don't think she should ever leave there. But I know if she were to, she would succeed absolutely anywhere she went. She's phenomenal. I mean, just perfect.
Good to be pleased with your wife.
Absolutely.
And be honoring your wife.
Yeah.
So personal development, you read books, podcasts, self-reflect on a regular basis, but we don't overtrain at the same time.
Yeah.
And how do we know where we should be as individuals, and how should we look at others that don't seem to be doing right, is a question to me, because I see some people just laying around or balled up in emotions, and it's like, how do I help? And I really want to go help.
Yeah.
But I've come to the conclusion that you can't help unless it's wanted,
Right.
and the way that it's needed.
Right.
Somebody has to be receptive, and you have to do it the way they need it done, not the way you want it to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You
it's got to
guys-
be from both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I kind of went through a spill. I guess it's really happened twice. So I've been in business a little over 2 years now, and it's happened once both years, where I got to a point where I overworked myself, like we're talking about. I physically was done, mentally was done, and coincidentally, they were both around wintertime. Just realized that, but got to the point where I was like,
it's time. That's a good time to slow down during the construction industry.
yeah, it gets slower anyways, but you got to start. I mean, that's the time I feel like you have to be the most, you have to work the hardest, because now, okay, you're setting up work for the next few months. Yeah, it's slow now, sure, it always does, but if you're not proactive now, you're going to suffer 3 or 4 months down the road. Now your whole first quarter's wasted, you know?
So what do you do during those times that you feel like you've overtrained yourself?
So it got to the point where, for me, I wasn't raised to recognize a lot of emotions or mental struggles, but those were the things that kept coming up for me, where it was more of a mental thing. Physically, I was tired too, but I think mentally, I was almost stuck. Like I couldn't figure out where to go, how to achieve anything. Couldn't give guys directions on what to do. And I feel like the only way you can really come out of it is you have to, even if it's just the smallest thing, you have to do one thing, even if it's just one thing all day. Finish one task, and you get that completion, right? You get the relief of completing something. Okay, so we now have a little bit of momentum. Okay?
Yeah.
And we do it the next day. And it comes back to just winning each day. Just don't look at the next day. Next day doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's coming a week. Doesn't matter. Win one day. And every day looks different. You're going to win differently, right? It could be in business one day. It could be making sure you show up physically and mentally to your kids' t-ball game. Or, that you're present, not just physically, but you're invested. Could be with your wife. It could be, whatever. Winning looks different every day. But just winning every day, one day at a time, and then you start stacking these wins. That's how you start getting momentum. And then you start seeing bigger wins. And then, okay, now we're kind of back on track. And now we're doing better than we were. And now we're going into spring, and we're getting busy. And now all of a sudden, okay, we're okay again. I can breathe. And the stress is a little down. But it's very, very tough to come out of those, because you don't know where to start a lot of the times. So what I did is I wrote out a list. These are the things at some point I have to get them done. I don't know when it is, but I just need to get them. So I'm going to start on the first thing. The smallest thing. Let's start on the smallest thing and complete that. Cool. We got some traction. Now we just knock out that list. And that's how I did it. I mean, it's a very tough thing to do, and I see why people struggle with it. I didn't understand it before that, but it's tough.
There's an old saying, how do you climb the biggest mountain in the world?
Just one step.
One step at a time.
Yeah. I think people try to achieve too much in one step, or they try and skip a step or whatever. And that's where you can start falling back into it, because now you're losing momentum rather than gaining it.
Yeah, skip a step going up a mountain, you might slide down the mountain a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. Just slip. It doesn't have to be fast. Just get a little momentum. It will speed up eventually. And you can't beat time. As much as we want to, you can't beat time. I mean, your business is going to grow as fast as it wants to. Your family's going to grow as fast as it's meant to. You can't change that. You can be intentional about it and help it, but it's only going to grow as fast as time will let it. And that's been a hard thing for me too, because I'm not the most patient person. I want to do things quickly and succeed quickly and provide for my family quickly and, give them the things they need quickly. Now, I want to do it now.
Yeah.
That's the society we live in. It's instant gratification, right? I want to feel everything now. But if you can invest in some things long enough and do it the right way, the payoff is so much better than trying to rush it. And usually they run better, faster, smoother once you launch it and take those baby steps and, be a little more intentional about the steps, I guess,
But then the balance between a person that is very efficient and effective focused is the other side, where there's, like you were just talking about, I guess, not becoming mobilized.
Mm-hmm.
Becoming a person that can't move forward.
Yeah.
And you're finding that in your life's experience with this business of feeling stuck because you've done too much is going on, too much is on top of you, too much is in front of you, to going back to the basics of making a checklist and getting those boxes checked off and starting again. Mm-hmm. And you're saying you're trying to find that balance in your life right now at 31 years old, after you've been in business for 2 years.
Yeah, and I think some of that, so I do, and I have done for a long time, I've done a lot of people call it a power list, right? So you write down 5 things that need to be done that day. Doesn't matter, those are the non-negotiables. Doesn't matter what happens. I don't care if you get hit by a car. If you're supposed to make those, 50 sales calls that day, you're doing it in the hospital bed. You know what I mean? Those are non-negotiables. You get those done no matter what. Those kind of goes back to the momentum thing. It creates momentum. And what I've always done with my team is I will have them write out 5 things. 3 of them should be business, job related. But I want the other 2 to be something to develop you personally. I don't care if it's reading a book. I don't care if it's, reading the Bible, whatever it is. I want you to be intentional about something you're passionate about. Maybe it's learning how to play guitar, whatever. Develop a skill. I want you to better yourself, you're not just here for me. We're growing together. We're going to be successful together. And I think that's where a lot of businesses fail too, because they just want it to be, I'm here to be successful. And at the end of the day, if you bring other people along with you, you can't do everything by yourself. Having people that are invested in your vision is, you can't replace that. And it only makes things easier and faster. And people want to be involved more if you do that too. So it's something that I feel like you almost have to do to be successful in business.
Yeah, I've realized I can't do much.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to do too much.
But if I have 20, 30, 40 people and they multiply my efforts by 75% each, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Definitely. Yeah.
So buying into each other, living life together, encouraging one another, helping Tulsa, Oklahoma, the country and the world live better, one person at a time.
That's what it takes, one person at a time. We'll go that slow.
Exponentially.
Yeah. Hopefully they can do the one thing. I mean, if it's, I don't want to say pyramid scheme, but if it's got to be that way, then, one person helps another, then you're making a bigger difference than what you think.
You remove one person, LinkedIn said years ago that if you took and mapped out the world of population of around 8 billion people, 6 removed and everybody in the world knows each other.
I've heard that before.
6 removed, everybody knows each other. So one person at a time, huge impact.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming today.
Absolutely, man. I'm really glad I was here to do this. This is cool.
We are here to help you discover or develop your passions, how you can use them, and why you exist. How can we help you help others better?